Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Sarvagam Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhasthitam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vide Namaha. We are in the 11th chapter. Ikshitratva Prakaranam. Pradmatmaikya jnanamatra nishtho muchyate iti uktam. That one who abides in knowledge of oneself being Brahma, that's all you need. That jnanam, that abiding knowledge is all you need, muchyate, for moksha, for total freedom. Tadna upadyate, that is not tenable. Karma sadhyatvad mukti, one view is that mukti is attained by karma. Karma says the jnana sadhyatvad, or if not only by karma, it is the knowledge accompanied with karma, or karma accompanied with knowledge. So with that background, the nature of self is being unfolded here. In the 6th verse we are told, Vyomat sarabhutastaha bhutadoshai vivarjitaha sakshi cheta gunashuddha brahmaivasmi sakevalaha. Avyavaharya swarupattvam, how Atma is avyavaharya, not the object of vyavahara. Meaning, not karta, not karma, not kriya, not karanam. Atma, the self, is not object of vyavahara, does not participate in vyavahara. All vyavahara takes place in the presence of the self. But the self is Atma or truth or Ishvara. Bhagavan is not part of any Vyavahara. No Vyavahara can take place without Chaitanyam. Nothing can be illumined without sun, but sun doesn't in any way will to illumine. That is very important, that Ishvara, ultimate nature of Ishvara is Chaitanyam, is a Vyavahariya. He cannot become the object of Vyavahara, nor does he perform any Vyavahara. So no blame can be ultimately directed to Ishvara. Why did he do this and why did he not do that? Because he didn't do anything, nor am I doing anything. Who does all this? Just happens. What's your role? My presence. So this is a vision of God or Ishvara that Vedanta provides. That Ishvara is Advitiya. There is no Dvitiya, there is no second one even to do Vyavahara with. And how to explain all the conflicts and suffering that is taking place in the realm of duality? How one causes suffering to the other? And what does Ishvara do in that? Says, well, Ishvara is Advitiya. One who causes suffering is also Ishvara. One who undergoes suffering also is Ishvara. Therefore, whole thing just remains nothing but a play. There is no reality to that. So, saying that Jagat is mithya, duality is mithya, cause of suffering is mithya. Therefore, suffering also is mithya. Samsara is mithya, not really there. Therefore, there is no real cause of suffering or samsara which will remove. Ignorance, not knowing the reality as it is the cause, and that has to be removed. That is the nature of ignorance, darkness, which can only be dispelled by the light of knowledge, and that's all you need to do. What is this Purnam? That Purnatvam has to be seen. We are trying to create Purnatvam, not necessary. We think that suffering is because of Apurnatvam. Apurnatvam is not a reality, it is a perception, belief, Brahma, projection. Therefore, the knowledge of the self is the only solution, and that's all you need. Vyomvatsara bhutastho bhutadoshe vivarjitah ahamas kevalah brahmayavasmi sa kevalah brahmayavasmi, I am just Brahman. Sarvabhutastha, abiding in all the beings, as the subject, as the witness. Vyomavad, like Vyoma, the space, obtains in all the apertures or all enclosures. So I as to obtain in all the upadhis. Sarvabhuteshu ahamakara vrittu abhivyakti apekshaya. Because the self, I, manifest myself, enliven the aham vritti in all the beings, therefore I say to be in all the beings. The sun is said to be in all the water containers because it gets reflected. And it lights up the water, and in that sense it is said that sun is in all the containers of water. Similarly, self is sarvabhutastha, abiding in all the beings, so that gives you an idea of insideness, obtaining within the bhuta. That withinness is like the sun being within the container of water. Bhutadoshair vivarjitaha. Therefore, just as the reflection appears to be inside, but is not inside, and therefore it is devoid of all the impurities of water. So also consciousness, the self, appears to be in my heart as I, but then unaffected by the guna or dosha, the virtue or vice or limitations of the reflecting medium. That's the relationship. The relationship that self has with aham vritti or antahkaranam is similar to that between a reflection and the reflecting medium. Bhuta doshahi vivarjitaha sakshi cheta aguna shuddha brahmaivasmi sa kevalaha. Sakshi, the witness, meaning that different from the witnessed, basically, Sakshi. Therefore, unaffected by what is witnessed, bhut dosha rahitya hetuhu. By calling Atma the Sakshi, it means that it is free from any guna dosha or limitations of what is illumined. Vyomat asangaha. Space is unconnected, unaffected by where it pervades, so also Atma is unconnected, unaffected. Even though you feel I am inside. That interiorness, exteriorness also are only with reference to upadhi. Sakshi, cheta, agunaha, shuddha, kevalaha, non-dual. That kevalatva vinakti. In the seventh verse, nama rupa kriyabhyonya nityamukta swarupatvat swarupavan aham atma param brahma chinmatroham sadadvaya kevaloham advitiyoham, absolute I am. Its most amazing thing is how it seems to be associated with everything and still devoid of the limitations of everything. Upadeshtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmedi chapyukta dehesmin purushah parah. Asmin dehe, in this body, in this upadhi, Purusha Paraha, the Parah Purusha, the limitless consciousness. Upadeshta is a proximate witness. Anumanta, who has no agenda at all, in whose presence everything happens the way it does. He doesn't make decision. Let karma make decision. Let prakriti make the decision. Bharata, by its very presence, by providing satta, surti, it nourishes, sustains everything. So how, in spite of being transcendental, he can be called all of this? Based on what is happening at the level of upadhi. But nam rupa kriyabhya anya, different from name and form and function. This upadhi has a name and form and function. Sarabhutastaha is within all the beings still. Nam rupa kriyabhya anya. Anya, other than, Vilakshana, distinct from. That's the reason why Nama, Rupa, Kriya has to be dropped. Asangatvad, because consciousness, asanga, unconnected. There we cannot arrive at consciousness through connection. We just let go. Nitya Mukta Swarupavan, of the nature of Swarupa, the nature of Nitya Mukta, ever free. Aham Atma Param Brahma Chinmatroham Sada Advaya. Chinmatroham, merely consciousness, non-dual. So Kevalaha is explained here. Absolute, non-dual. Only Tikakara said, Avasthatra Rahita. What Kevala was explained as that which devoid of the three states of waking, dream, deep sleep. That means that the one in many, the Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna is distinct from all of them. He is the substrate of all of them. Katham advaitam atmana sangacchate. Chinmatroham sada advayaha. How is it tenable? Sangacchate. Where is sangati? Where is connection? Where is the logical? Where is the rationality? How is Atma non-dual? Why do you say that? Because Aham Brahmasmi itivat Aham Kartasmi iti cha anubhavasya pramanamulatvat. Shruti says that I am Brahma, so it's pramanam. My own experience says that I am Karta, I am Bhokta, my experience also is pramanam. So, what is revealed by a pramanam is called prama or valid knowledge. Thus, we have these two valid knowledge in our life. Shruti says, Brahmaevahamasmi, I am Brahman. My own experience says that Aham Karta, Aham Bhokta. Since both these knowledge pramanajanya, therefore both are valid knowledge. Therefore, you should have a method of explanation which accounts for both these experiences. If you say Atma is Advaya, non-dual, then how to explain your experience of Kartritva Bhoktritva? And the Mimamsakas say that Atma is Karta Bhokta. How to explain your experience of Chaitanya, Kevalaha, non-dual one? So you arrive at something in between. And therefore, you explain so as to accommodate both these experiences. So, Jnana karma samuccayavadina bheda veda matanusarina. So there is bheda veda matanusari. Because he says both this knowledge is pramanamulam. By Shruti pramanam, I am Brahma. By my own experience, I am Karta Bhokta. So both are the reality of our Atma. Karta Bhokta also is reality and is given, then it is a conditional reality. In a certain condition, Atma is Karta Bhokta. Other condition, it is Chaitanyam, non-dual. So both are realities of Atma. It's called Bheda Veda Mataha. Atma is simultaneously Bheda in having duality, Abheda being non-dual. Tan Kutsayan. When this, the teacher, the author, condemns these people. Advaita Atmatam Dradayate, and again asserts the non-duality of Atma by showing how this opinion is ridiculous. And so, how Advaita Atmatvam must be real. Aham Brahmasmi Karta cha Bhokta cha Asmi iti ye viduhu. Ye viduhu. Those people who know or think, or those who have arrived at this conclusion after a lot of deliberation, those who have arrived at this conclusion, Aham Brahmasmi, that I am Brahma also, Karta cha Bhokta cha Asmi, and I am Karta Bhokta as well. Iti ye viduhu, those whose conclusion is this. Those who this is what they believe. Te nashtaha jnana karmabhyam. They do not realize what their opinion amounts to. In playing chess, sometimes you make a move. You don't know what you are doing. How next moment you will be, checked. You don't know. So here also, by claiming that now we have an explanation which accommodates everything, that Atma is Brahma also and Karta Bhokta also. Te nashtaha jnana karmabhyam. They do not realize that they have fallen from both jnana as well as karma. The fellow who says karma is the means of moksha is better than this fellow. The one who says jnana is means of moksha, of course, is right. One who says karma is the means of moksha is not as bad as this. Because this fellow, what he says, amounts to saying that neither jnana nor karma can be means of moksha. Te nashtaha jnana karmabhyam. They have fallen from, meaning they have lost the position that jnana also is means and karma also is means of moksha. Means they have not understood jnanam as well as karma. Because viruddhartha pratipadakatva ayogat shastrasya. If you say shastra is pramanam, a valid means of knowledge, then it must consistently reveal the truth. If eyes are the pramanam, wherever the eyes go, they reveal the nature of color as it is. The revealing of the eyes, the revealing of color on the part of eyes, is not conditioned, not subject to time and place and condition. That morning the eyes will reveal one way, evening some other way, here some way, different, elsewhere different. It doesn't happen that way. Then it's not pramana. So say Veda is pramanam for revealing the nature of Atma. It cannot be that in Jnana Kanda Vedas say that Atma is Brahma and Karma Kanda Vedas say Atma is Karta Bhokta. So Karma Kanda also is pramanam, Jnana Kanda also is pramanam, according to them. because whole Veda is pramana. And Karma Kanda says Atma is Karta Bhokta, because the whole Upadesha of karma, Amum Yaja, worship this Devata, worship that Devata, is all based or presupposes that the one to whom you are asking to do things can do it, meaning that he possesses doership, he has the freedom to do. And why should somebody do something? Only when this is the benefit of doing. When there is some benefit result in terms of happiness, pleasure, then only one will take the trouble of doing something. So the one who is karta now, the one who undertakes the exertion of performing this karma, hopes to be a bhokta or an enjoyer of the result of the action. So that is what motivates the person to do things. Who will want to undertake all these trouble and exertion that karma brings about? And Vedic karma in particular, you can see, performing yajna yaga involves a lot of exertion. It's not only performing this karma and subjecting yourself to all these smokes, etc., or procuring all kinds of materials and preparing for that karma. You also do follow personal disciplines. Not anybody and everybody can perform this karma. At all levels, shrama, parishrama, exertion is involved in performing these rituals. And still people do. A person cannot do this unless there is a motivation. So what motivates these people to do things? That we will enjoy the pleasures of heaven. It is karma phala, the promise of experiencing the rewards of karma is what motivates these people to perform karma. That means that the whole instruction of karma kanda is based on taking for granted. Karma kanda doesn't say you are karta, you are bhokta. It doesn't say that. But what it says presupposes the kartatva and bhoktatva on the part of the one who is told these things. In that sense, you can say that the karma kanda is teaching that Atma is karta bhokta. It doesn't say you are karta, you are bhokta. It says you do this and you do that. So this statement is a part of karma kanda, which say you do this and you do that and then you will get this reward, is interpreted by the Mimamsakas to mean that Veda is teaching that you are karta and you are bhokta. Therefore, karma kanda also is Veda, also is pramanam. And therefore, what karma kanda deals with is interpreted as based on taking for granted that Atma is karta bhokta. So they say that karma kanda is teaching that Atma is karta bhokta, and Upanishad is teaching that Atma is Brahma. That means one pramana Veda is about same Atma, when one pramana is revealing contradictory things. Brahma means nirvikaram, cannot be karta bhokta. Karta bhokta means vikari, cannot be nirvikar Brahma. Therefore, same Veda in one place is revealing Atma to be such and such. In another place, the same Pramana Veda reveals Atma is of an opposite nature. Viruddhartha Pratipadakatva Yoga Shastrasya. No, whether the Vedas say this or it is your understanding of what the Vedas say. If you entertain this understanding that in Karma Kanda Veda is revealing that Atma is Karta Bhokta, in Jnana Kanda Veda is revealing that Atma is Brahma, then you yourself are accepting Viruddhartha Pratipadakatvam, that Vedas are expounding the contradictory nature of Atma, of the same entity. How can it be called? Then how can you say Veda is Pramanam? On one hand, you are Vedikas, very devoted to Vedas, and claim that you understand Vedas and that Veda is Pramanam. And then you yourself say that Veda reveals the contradictory nature of Atma and still it's Pramanam. How can you call it Pramanam? So either you have not understood what the Pramanam is and therefore not understood what the Vedas are. Viruddham tattvam avagacchatam karma kanda jnana kanda cha bahirmukhatvat. That means you have not understood what karma kanda is teaching and what jnana kanda is teaching. This Atma is karta bhokta. You have not understood what jnana kanda is teaching. Atma is Brahma. You have not understood what karma kanda is teaching. By accepting both these contradictory, outwardly contradictory interpretations, you are rejecting in a way both of them. By taking karma kanda as pramanam, in effect you are rejecting pramanya of jnana kanda, and by accepting jnana kanda as pramanam, in effect you are rejecting pramanya of karma kanda. So that means you have fallen from both. Tena staha jnana karmabhyam. Jnana kanda and karma kanda, from both of them they have fallen because they are not accepting. By accepting karma kanda, you are not accepting jnana kanda. By accepting your interpretation of karma kanda, you are not accepting jnana kanda. By accepting jnana kanda, you are not accepting your own interpretation of karma kanda. So you are rejecting both. You are nastikas. You who claim yourself to be staunch Vedikas amount to nastikas. Why do you condemn? Just by saying that doesn't make that you are making your point. Ninda matra katham advaita ekamarta siddhi. Just by condemning us and ridiculing us, you cannot prove your point. That's the way people do in politics. You ridicule somebody, make him a laughing stock and dismiss the person. But that is not the way to prove that the person is wrong. And so by condemning us, you can't say that you can't prove ourselves to be wrong. How are you right? In what way does Veda teach only Advaitatvam? Because how can Veda say Atma is Brahman when Veda also says Atma is Karta Bhokta? Dharma phalir yoga ishto drishto yathatmanah shastrat brahmatmopyasya moksho jnana tatheshatam. यथा आत्मनः धर्म फल योग इष्टः अदृष्टोपि सन्. Even though we have no way of saying that the one who performs karma now has connection with karma phala which will come in future. We have no way of establishing that. Adrushta. Then we have no means of establishing the connection between the Atma or Karta and karma phala. Because you perform this karma, therefore you will get this result. There is no way for us to say that Atma who performs karma is connected with karma phala. We have no evidence ourselves. We don't have knowledge. That whatever I am experiencing now is my karma phala. Which karma was it? Was it my karma? There is no way of saying that. That's why law of karma is not satisfactory. It does not prove to be satisfactory explanation. In a way, it's a belief. It's a reasonable belief. Belief which does not contradict logic, but belief nevertheless, understand, it's a belief system. And therefore everybody others are rejecting them. On what basis do you say? What's the proof that you have? That you had a previous birth. What's the proof? Now all of these accepted based on what the Shastra says. Jantunam, Narajanma Durlabham, etc. How do that means presupposes that you are earlier there and you are taking this birth. All of this, nobody has experience of this, understand? Adrushta. And still you karmakandis are connecting Atma with karma or karma phala. So dharma adharma is karma phala. Dharma adharma phala hi yoga ishtaha. The whole karma kanda is based on this premise that the one who performs karma is the one who gets connected with karma phala. So dharma dharma is karma phala. Dharma dharma phala hi yoga sambandha ishtaha. Otherwise karma kanda has no basis at all. You are accepting the adrushta even though we have no way of establishing that, and still how you take it for granted? Why? Because the Vedas say that. Punyo vai punyena karmana vavati papah papena. Upanishad says that when you perform punya karma, then you get, happiness, papa karma, you get unhappiness. So based on that and similar statements of Veda, you say that the karta becomes bhokta, and there is a fairness and justice that the karta gets connected to karma phala. Not based on your experience, meaning not based on any knowledge that you have, based on what the Shruti says. So just as you accept the connection of karta with karma phala, simply based on what the Shruti says, not based on logic or experience or anything. Logic you may say, but no experience. Similarly, Brahma Veda Brahmeva Bhavati, Aham Brahmasmi. So also Upanishad says Atma is Brahma. Brahma Veda, one who knows Brahman becomes Brahma. Tameo viditva atimrityamedi nanyah pantaha vidyate ayanaya. One crosses death, becomes immortal, becomes liberated, mukta. By only knowing Atma, there is no other way of doing that. So karma is not the means. That means that is our basis. Just as to say that karta gets karma phala, no basis other than statements of Shruti. So there are plenty of statements of Shruti which reveal Atma as Brahma and non-dual. Sadeva Swamidam Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam. So Shruti is the basis of the Advaita Mata. And therefore, you also have to properly understand the Tatparya of the Vedas. You arrive at the Tatparya Nirnaya. So what it is that Veda intends to teach. And based on some statement, you say that Veda is teaching that you should perform karma to gain the success in your life. But then you disregard what the Veda says elsewhere. The knowing Brahman, you become Brahma. Not by doing something that you become Brahma. Brahma Veda Brahmayo Bhavati. That means karma has no role. You can say karma has no role as far as moksha is concerned. Therefore, karma is dismissed as a means of moksha. Brahma Veda Brahmaya Bhavati. Brahma Vid Apnoti Param. Not only that, Tam Viditva Eva Mrityamattyedi. By knowing Atma alone, one crosses or transcends death. There is no other way. So not only the self Atma Jnanam is emphasized as a means of moksha, but any other means, such as karma also, is dismissed as a means of moksha, very clearly. So you people should take into account all the statements of Vedas and determine Tatparya and then interpret your statements also in that light. Says, wait a minute. When Veda says that you become the recipient of karma phala when you perform karma, it is logical. As you sow, so you reap. It makes sense. So, that Atma or Karta gets connected with karma phala is not only what the Vedas say, but also it is logical, reasonable, tenable. But where is the logic in saying that you are a Brahma? Because your experience is that you are a Karta, Bhokta, limited Jiva. On the face of that experience, what kind of logic is there to accept on your part that you are Brahman? That you become the recipient of karma phala when you perform karma is in keeping with the simple logic, as you sow, so you reap. But that your Brahma is based on what logic? In fact, your own experience is that you are a Karta, Bhokta. And therefore, when the Shruti says, now we are questioning what Shruti says. When Shruti says Atma is Brahma, that contradicts the experience of Karta Bhokta, and therefore that does not have the same validity as when Shruti says that Atma gets connected with Karma Phala. Therefore, Bheda Bhedau Shruti Anuvayoho Avirodhaya. So now if you want to accept Atma is Brahman, that can be only accepted along with Atma is Karta Bhokta. That Atma is Brahma alone and not Karta Bhokta contradicts our experience. And Atma is Karta Bhokta is supported by Vedas. Therefore, your contention that Atma is Brahma alone and not Karta Bhokta is not supported by logic or reasoning. Then he comes back to say that you have to accept that Atma is Brahma as well as Karta Bhokta. Therefore, Bheda Bhedau Adaraniya iti. Because you yourself said you have to accept, you understand the Tatparya of the Shastra. What Shastra says should be reasonable, logical. And therefore, again the Purva Pakshi says that this Bheda Bheda Mata alone accommodates both what the Upanishad says and what the Karma Kanda says. If Atma is non-dual, does not accommodate what Karma Kanda says, therefore you would accept this. So the 10th verse is said, Ya mahara janadhyastaha vasana swapnadarshibhi anuhuyante vaya tato nyah kevalo drushihi. So your experience of kartrutva, bhoktrutva, you are presenting that as a pramanam, as a valid, as an experience from which you are concluding that Atma is karta bhokta. Pratyaksha drishta kartrutvadi virodhat. That Atma is Brahma, that conclusion contradicts our immediate experience that Atma is karta bhokta, my experience. So now Vedanta says, let us examine that experience. That yes, you say that I am karta, I am bhokta, this is what I experience. Is that what you experience or is it what you think you experience? When you are in dream, you think that you are experiencing many things. Ya maha rajanadhyaha taha vasanaha swapnadarshibhi anuhuyante eva. The swapnadarshi also experiences, the dreamer also experiences many things, but the Upanishad itself says that what the dreamer experiences are nothing but the manifestations of the vasanas, that what he experiences are not tangible objects, he experiences only the appearance of objects in dream. For that, this passage from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is quoted. Maharajanadhyaha, etc. Like a cloth is colored with turmeric, so also the mind becomes colored when the mind passes through a variety of experiences. The mind also becomes colored by those experiences, samskara left by those experiences. So we have a colorful mind containing many colors of samskaras. And therefore in the dream, what you're experiencing is that mind with different colors. The only thing that happens in dream is those samskaras or colors, they become manifest as though they are tangible objects. So what you experience in waking state were tangible objects. That there was an elephant and there was a buffalo and all these things were there in waking. And those experiences left impressions on the mind, and mind is like a fabric. It becomes colored by whatever it comes in contact with. Therefore, mind becomes colored with impressions of whatever it experiences. Some of those colors may be very light and therefore may not have much effect. Some colors are very dark, deep, and therefore they will have effect, they will sustain. So it's this colored mind which alone manifests itself as a dream world. This is based on what the Upanishad says, that what you are experiencing in dream is nothing but the mind colored with various impressions. Meaning that when you experience an elephant in the dream, it is not the real tangible elephant that you are experiencing, it is the mind containing the impressions of elephant from the experience that it had in the waking state. And those impressions become like appearance, they appear as a real elephant. Except the dreamer doesn't have this viveka. The dreamer does not know that what he is experiencing are simply impressions, appearances, abhasa, and not reality. Therefore, the dreamer takes as real what he or she experiences in dream. So, dreamer also has pratyaksha anubhava, direct experience that I am a karta bhokta. In dream also. Same time that this is elephant, this is mountain. So just as that mind manifests itself as an elephant and mountain, same mind also manifests itself as karta bhokta. The mind is an amazing thing. It assumes the form of the entire dream world, consisting of the subject, object and experience. In the dream, the subject also is a mind, object also is a mind, the mind is experiencer, mind is object of experience, and mind is experiencing. All of this is simply assumed by the mind. Therefore, kartritva, it is mind or subtle body. This is a subtle body. Because subtle body is the locus of the impressions. The reason why perhaps it is said is that after the death, it is savasanam, it is subtle body that transmigrates from one gross body to other. In the subtle body, the impressions of punya, papa, sukha, dukkha are all contained. So traditionally, subtle body is the locus of vasanas. It's mind really. Because in the dream, the whole subtle body doesn't come into function. Subtle body consists of the organs of perception, organs of action, etc., etc. There's no awareness of, but anyway, whatever it is. But so mind, that is why Prashnopani talks about the mind. Ishaha deva mahimanam anubhavati. There is a devata called the mind, experiences its own glory, that has become the karta, bhokta, subject, object, experience, everything it has become. Therefore, this explanation of dream on the part of Upanishad clearly says that the subject, object, experience divided in dream is all nothing but the manifestation of one mind. That means, wherever the subject, object, experience duality is there, we should understand that it is manifestation of mind, including the waking also. So in the waking also, what you think that you are experiencing is not the real thing, it is nothing but the result of impression, it is nothing but appearance, abhasa. So what you are experiencing in dream is abhasa, that is understood, appearance. But a similar set of obtains in waking also. What's the difference? How do you say this is not dream? Tell me. Oh, there is sun here. Well, then there was sun in dream also. What is the basis of saying this is not a dream? Because when you are dreaming, it just appeared like that only. So Vedantin says, what is the big difference between waking and dream? There are some minor differences. The same Rishi was yesterday and same one is today, etc. Which is not the dream. Every day dream is different and so forth. Okay, there are some minor differences are there. That's why you call it dream and that's why you call this waking. Otherwise, no big difference. All of this analyzed in detail in the Manduke Kariga, Vitatya Prakram. Therefore, your contention that kartrutva, bhoktrutva of the Atma is pratyaksha or direct experience and there is pramanam is challenged. That this experience of kartrutva, bhoktrutva is not really different from a similar experience in the dream. So from the Vedic standpoint, you know very well that kartrutva, bhoktrutva experience in dream was an appearance, then waking also is an appearance, meaning that just because you experience something doesn't make it a valid basis for valid conclusion. You could very well be experiencing rope snake and think that this is my experience. So experience of kartrutva, bhoktrutva is not the pramanam or valid means of, or evidence to establish that Atma is really karta bhokta. So it is established that the subject, object, experience in the dream is all nothing but manifestation of mind, projection. And Atma is different from all of them. So with Drishtanta it is explained in the next verse is Koshadya vinishkrishtaha karyakarana varjitaha yatha asir drishyate swapne tadvad lok tadvad bodha swayam prabha. Drishtanta Koshad vinishkrishtaha asihiva. Asi like a sword. Vinishkrishta taken out. Koshat from the scabbard. From a sheath of the scabbard. When you take out this is an example, when you take out a sword from the scabbard, the difference between sword and scabbard is very clear. When the sword was in the scabbard, then you could not say that this sword is different from scabbard. So in waking state it is difficult to say that Atma is different from the body, mind, sense complex because the kosha, the identification is very much there. Even though Atma is different, but still in the waking state it is difficult to show that Atma is distinct from this body, mind, sense complex. But when you analyze dream experience, it becomes very clear that Atma is distinct from the dream world, consisting of the subject-object experience. Therefore, tadvad bodha swayam prabha swapne drishyate. Bodha, the knower, meaning the self. Swapne drishyate is seen in the dream. Seen means what? Understood, understand. Swayam Prabha is not seen as an object of seeing. But when you analyze the dream experience, you can come to understanding that this Atma is distinct from the dream world because it is illuminator of dream world. And dream world includes the karta, bhokta, subject, object, experience, everything. Therefore, the analysis of dream experience leads us to this understanding that Atma is distinct from the subject, object and experience. Then what is Swayam Prabha? Still everything, the whole dream world shines is experience. Atma, what is the role of Atma in the dream? Illumining the dream world. The karta, bhokta, etc., Atma has nothing to do with that. All mind does all of that. It is all the glory of the mind. Or mischief of the mind, whatever you want to say. If you condemn Maya, it's mischief. If you glorify, it's the glory of mind. It is very clear that in the dream, Atma, the consciousness, is merely the presence. Swayam Atrayam Swayam Purusha Swayam Jyoti. So, analyzing and understanding dream experience by assigning to mind whatever the mind appears to be. Then in the dream world, mind which has the samskara of subject, object and experience, all samskaras are there. Not only does the mind have the samskara of experience, but experience cannot be without experiencer, and experiencer also requires an interaction, and thereby experience is to experienced, experiencer, and experience. We realize that all of this is nothing but the manifestation of mind in the dream. Then what is Atma? Atma is neither experiencer or experienced or experience, distinct from all of them. What is it? Simply illuminator, Swayam Brahma. So, understanding, analyzing dream experience helps us to understand Atma distinctly different from mind or the dream world. Like a sword taken out from a scabbard helps us clearly see the scabbard independent of the sword, a sword independent of the scabbard. So also the dream experience helps us to clearly understand Atma independent of the dream world. आत्मनः कर्तृत्वादि प्रतिभासस्य स्वप्न प्रतिभासवत् मिथ्यात्वात्. Therefore, in the waking state also, when Atma appears to be karta, bhokta, understand that in the waking also, the karta, the subject, the object, the experience, all that belongs to mind. Just as in the dream, the world of subject, object, experience, we know it is very clear that it all belongs to the mind. In the waking also, in the dream, similar in the waking also, that mind alone becomes the karta, mind alone becomes the karma, mind alone becomes the karanam, mind alone becomes the kriya, mind alone becomes everything. In the waking also. So just as in the dream also Atma is independent, Swayam Prabha, shining his own glory, so also in waking. Suddheva Atma Brahmaivaiti. Therefore, it is very clear the waking dream experience helps us to understand waking experience. And that helps us understand the Shruti statement that Atma Chaitanyam. Like Vyovat Sarabhutastam, Cheta, Sakshi, Aguna. So, all this analysis enabled us to arrive at this conclusion, and that is why the conclusion that Atma is both the Dvaita and Advaita, Veda Bhinna and Abhinna, that has no basis at all. And why do you take trouble to use your mind and logic in various convoluted way to arrive at this? Shastra simply says, clearly says. We also went to reasoning along with you to arrive at this understanding that Atma is Nitya Mukta, Asangha, Swayam Prabha. But the Upanishad says clearly in its own words, Shastrat avirodena pratyedam shakyatvat, without the need of this logic or straining your mind with all this logic, just see the Shastra which itself says that Atma is Brahman. The Bheda Veda Kalpanaya Mana Khedaniyamiti. Therefore, do not strain yourself with arguments to arrive at Atma as Bhinna and Abhinna. So, that's how the next verse is. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.